What's up, everybody? It is your king. Welcome back to my kingdom, all my king's men and women. And today, guys, I'm here to talk to you guys about why the Scarlet King versus the Lord X is horrifically one sided. As I'm about to list to you guys all their abilities and powers, and basically when I'm done, you guys will realize that this is not a fight. This is an absolute squash match. Now, for the first bulletin, I'm going to be listing all of Lord X's abilities. And then for the second, I'm going to be explaining all of the Scarlet King's abilities. Now, first up, Lord X. Number one, superhuman physical characteristics, which is basically super strength, super durability, super flight, and basically the basics of superhuman physical traits. Immortality, everybody knows that. Basically, you can either come back repeatedly from death or you just can't die. Third, teleportation. Basically, being able to go from place to place without having to use your legs, like running, walking, whatever. Number four, regeneration. Basically, being able to regrow certain body parts or skin or blood from any kind of lethal wound that would probably kill a person that doesn't have any form of regeneration. Number five, data manipulation, which is basically the process of corrupting or misleading data. Like, basically, well, people out there in the comments will say what that is more better than I can. Number six, reality warping. And I'm pretty sure everybody knows what that is. Energy manipulation, basically the ability to have others misread what your energy really is during a fight. There are other means of doing that as well, but in a fight, that's possibly the most effective way of what you can do with energy manipulation. Antimatter manipulation, creation, surprisingly, considering who Lord X is, shape-shifting, that's not a surprise, soul manipulation, basically being able to corrupt or take souls from whoever his opponents are. Flight, obviously, but considering all the EXEs before him, it really shouldn't be a surprise that he is capable of flight. Fire manipulation, or as I sometimes prefer to call it, pyrokinesis, which are both basically is how one user is able to use fire to their advantage, like able to either summon fire or make a fire that's already there even more lethal. Dimension travel. For those of you who don't know, Lord X primarily is the one of the few EXEs that can use red rings from get to dimension to another dimension. Body control, which is basically possession, like one possessing of another's body. Biological manipulation, which is basically the transmutation of one's physical appearance or body, basically. Mental resilience, most likely meaning that he's immune to mental or psychological attacks. Necromancy, for those of you who don't know, that's basically raising the dead. And of course, if you've seen what he has done to Tails, Knuckles, and Eggman, who are by far some of the strongest characters in the Sonic verse, you would see how utterly broken that ability is. And the last one, Neccompass matter. I think I wrote that wrong, but yeah. And After listing all of these abilities, most people would probably think, oh well, this Lord X must seem like a very broken and unbeatable character. There's no way anybody could beat him. And you would not be wrong for assuming that, considering how powerful Lord X is, being the first but not the original EXE. He has definitely proven himself to be one of the most powerful EXEs out there, and has definitely earned his title as Lord X instead of just being X. But truth be told, guys, even after all these abilities of Lord X I just labeled to you, it honestly pales in comparison as to what the Lord X is, to what the Scarlet King is capable of doing. Now, let me start with the second bulletin, the Scarlet King. His abilities: mind manipulation, or either mind control; fear infliction, which is basically the ability to overtax a being's brain and make them experience very fear and traumatic experiences; regeneration, I already explained that; resurrection, basically meaning he could either bring himself or bring other beings back from the dead; death manipulation, which is kind of similar to resurrection but very different; life manipulation, which is which coincides with death manipulation, but it's obviously the manipulation of life, like giving life or taking life away; summoning, basically being able to summon beings to do his bidding or to fight battles that he knows he easily can win, but chooses to send his minions to do it for him; reality warping; conceptual manipulation, which is basically the manipulation of very concepts, idea, like the very thing, like a concept or an idea, anything that you could think of, or any concept that you know, like a verse or something like that. He can just manipulate it to however he pleases. Creation, aka bringing things into existence; power absorption slash gaining strength, meaning that he can increase his strength and power nearly almost infinitely; darkness manipulation; and this last one, I still think I wrote this wrong, but it's definitely, that doesn't matter. The point is, now when I get done with Scarlet King's abilities, y'all would realize that there isn't nearly as much as I wrote down for Lord X. And even though it seems like Lord X has way more than the Scarlet King does, the truth is, this doesn't even count as 1% of what the Scarlet King is capable of doing. Considering the fact that the Scarlet King is pretty much an eldritch being, like an eldritch god, basically, that is capable of going toe to toe with many of the gods in the SCP verse, and is even capable of damaging the very tree of life, which is connected to almost all realities, if I can recall, and nearly almost succeeded, and actually has succeeded on multiple occasions. And when you compare that to what Lord X has done by killing some of the biggest hitters in the Sonic verse, corrupting all of the Sonic lands, and even actually fighting some of the other EXEs, although that's more in fanon than in canon. But the point is, guys, is that if a fight between these two ever actually really were to happen, it really wouldn't be a fight to begin with at all. And even though Lord X would use all of his abilities that he can to throw at Lord X to at least attempt to at least try to hurt him, it wouldn't happen. And the only real two abilities that Lord X would really need that the Scarlet King would need in order to beat Lord X is his conceptual manipulation and his reality warping. Now, even though both Lord X and the Scarlet King have reality warping, the Scarlet King is capable of using it much better than Lord X ever has, considering the fact that he's basically existed since nearly almost the beginning of time, far longer than Lord X has ever been. And with the conceptual manipulation in mind, that essentially means that Lord X realistically would almost be dead before he would even get to the Scarlet King, because if Lord X gets the idea that obviously Lord X is, you know, a concept in of itself, like an idea made up by somebody, the Scarlet King would obviously use his powers to manipulate that, like manipulate Lord X's story in any way he sees fit, or better yet, make it so that X just becomes nothing but a powerless being. And even if, with the void taken in mind for Lord X, if he does die and he comes back to the void, there wouldn't be anything that would stop the Scarlet King from just going to the void and erasing that, therefore erasing Lord X and all the other EXEs that are in fact tied to the void. And if we want to get even more realistic, the second that Lord X would pop out a red ring and end up in the Scarlet King's dimension and we're face to face, the Scarlet King's presence would pretty much erase him out of existence by itself. Like, the Scarlet King really wouldn't have to do much at all in order to win this fight. Even though, like I said, this really wouldn't be a fight. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much all I wanted to say for this battle. And I just really wanted to say this for the fact that there were literally a lot of people out there who tried to make excuses for Lord X to try to say that how he would win in a fight against the Scarlet King, which obviously none of them know a whole lot about the Scarlet King, and they obviously don't know much about Lord X either. Because when you compare somebody, Lord X, to someone like the Scarlet King, it would be the equivalent of putting Homelander up against someone like Superman. And I'm pretty sure we all know how that fight would end. Like, crossovers aside, other video game cameos aside, like, it's not going to happen. But yeah, guys, I primarily made this because considering that my Lord X versus Scarlet King animation did so well, I figured, why don't I talk about the fight and how it actually go itself? And that's pretty much how I genuinely believe how it would go in any scenario. But yeah, guys, you guys let me know down, am I right, am I wrong? What other fights do you guys want me to talk about? Be sure to like, share, and subscribe this video. And stay tuned for more videos in the future. Goodbye.